Hey, I'm Scott, and this is my video series where I construct a D&D setting by going through the player's handbook one chunk at a time and riff out ideas pretty much as I think of them. I read the section, and then in the morning and then in the evening I record these. And so far it's going pretty good, and maybe one day I will have a proper name for something. But right now, we are going to talk about humans. Or I'm going to talk about humans. You can listen, though. That's a thing. But to talk about humans, I guess we have to go back to the map from the first time I did one of these videos. Link for the actual version you can read yourself down in the doobly-doop as you do. But buried in there on the northern half of the map are two cities, two named cities, Incest and Intrigue and Demons and Decadence. They're on opposite sides of the map, and for some reason I remembered these as being one city when I was reading about humans, and that's where it clicked together for me. So that's one city of demons and incest, and that just made sense to me. Like, demon worship and incest goes together, and that's one town, and that is the seat of what's left of a human empire that was all about intrigue and backstabbing and demon worship. So this spread across most of the continent. We're going to say 6 generations ago. I've got a reason for 6. It's going to start clicking together. But this is it. This was a crazy mageocracy of backbiting jerk demon worshippers, and 6 generations ago it collapsed. And down here in the southern half of the not Mediterranean over here, you have a bunch of desert-y tropes. Like, you've got Arabian Nights over in one corner. I am really bad at working with a camera. It's like a mirror, but evil. And alien Egyptians and desert punk all around in here. They're all around in this section. I like Arabian Nights fantasy, but I don't necessarily want it to be in my game because I'm super white, my gaming group's super white, and one day I'm going to have to explain why my weird Jin's town is not cool. But I do want there to be just badlands and wasteland across the southern half of that inland sea. So we're going to say that the human empire was centered down in that southern half, and it blew up. It blew up. The capital just straight up blew up. Some emperor mage guy did something so crazy that it just ruined a whole continent. Thousands of years of erosion and geological disturbance in a night. And that's been blasted. So the center of power for the empire fell apart. The whole thing collapsed into feuding city-states and warlords, and now we have a bunch of, smaller fiefdoms and kingdoms and city-states that all are super diverse and super crazy, and they all have their own feel, and they're all still trying to rebuild after this collapsed empire of crazy tech. Because if you're going to have a medieval analog, you need a Rome analog. And then we just have that city that is somehow demons and intrigue and incest all wrapped up together. And that crazy capital, that's, I guess, our Constantinople, except maybe it's more like Italy? Like, I don't want it to be like Constantinople in the 4th century where they're like, oh, we should reconquer our old territory, or we should be dealing with heresies, or whatever, the bits of Constantinople history the Byzantine Empire was doing. But this idea that the people who feel they should be the successors to this world-spanning empire are just stuck feuding with each other. And I think the feud is specifically between demon worshippers and devil worshippers, because if you're going to make them different, let's make it different in a silly way, where, like, the primary source of evil in the setting is these two feuding evils that, if they could get along, it'd be really worrisome. But as it stands, you've just got this little country called the Hellfire Imperium. Actually, still call it, that's what it's called on this map, but I like calling it just, oh yeah, that's the Hellfire Imperium. They'd be threatening if they weren't, you know, if they could unify on anything. I'm talking too fast for my brain now. But that idea that this Hellfire Imperium is still running around causing trouble, or factions within it, and you can play factions off of each other, and you can have two factions chasing down a MacGuffin, and then you've just got this blasted, crazy, like, wild magic and stupid weather and no resources land to the south where, yeah, that's where all the good shit from the Empire was. Like, that's it. Somewhere in the rubble, there's so much treasure and so much magical stuff that we don't know what to do. We wouldn't know what to do with it if we found it. And that becomes, like, a little bit the big rubble from Lorantha, and a little bit your, what's the city? What's the lost city in, Eberron? Zendrick? Zendrick. It was something like that. There were X's and K's and apostrophes in the name. That's what I remember about that city in Eberron. But it is this place where you can put a MacGuffin, and it's crazy hard to get there, and it's full of crazy things now. And it's where you go to adventure when you're high enough level to maybe not have to worry about, you know, demons eating you in the first round. And another benefit to having a crazy demon-worshipping magical empire that fell fairly recently is that you get the 4th edition points of light setting, which I really liked as a philosophy. This idea that between towns, it's crazy and weird and dangerous, and that's why no one leaves. Unless you go out in force. And going out in force might mean being a caravan full of guards, or it might just mean being 3-level, you know, having a few level 4 plus mages with you. And it's a great excuse to hang a lot of things on. Owlbears? Owlbears don't make any sense. Well, evil wizards ran the world for a while there, so of course owlbears are real. And that's just a great... You can just throw so many lampshades on so many problems by just making it... The whole world was run by demon-worshipping wizards for a while there, so maybe these things make perfect sense. Maybe mimics were a legitimate idea someone had, or maybe mimics were the result of a bad deal between a regional governor and his demon patron, and that is where we have mimics now. Sometimes your coat rack just wants to eat you. What else do we want to say about humans? not necessarily backstory stuff, as much as having this bit of backstory element gives us an excuse for D&D things to happen, which is good. You're right to make the D&D things happen, not to satisfy your desire for weird bits of lore. You just say, this is a D&D thing, how do we justify it? But what does this mean for humans? It means that humans are all over the place, and they look all sorts of different, because if we're going to take Rome as an example, they kept transplanting military and administrative personnel, that's the word, from one place in the Empire to way the hell over in another place in the Empire, so that they couldn't build sympathy for the locals because they didn't have any ties. And you kept moving them around. So you have humans that look like the humans you see outside. And yeah, this is probably true of a lot of the Middle Ages in Europe, because, you know, the Moorish Empire was a thing, and people got around more than we think. But, you know, it wasn't super white, except maybe in England. It was an island. But what I'm saying is that, you know, that we can have a diverse setting, and we can say why. And it's pretty easy. It makes sense to me, right? Anything in human stats that we need to address? Humans are kind of supposed to be boring, I guess. They're supposed to be the easy, approachable ones. So I guess there's not any super, like, mechanical things to human that we need to address as part of writing the setting, because humans are just kind of good. They're flexible. You know, they get that +1 on all their stats. or they can trade that for more feats and skills. Let your players choose. If you say, I'm a human, do you want all the stats or do you just want the extra skill point? And you're like, whatever's cool, man. I'm not going to say no variants or all variants to everyone. It's just, hey, they seem equally mechanically viable, so you should pick one. That's what I got. Demons and incest as the human empire. They were bad dudes, but now they're super dead, except for this one spot. And that has long ongoing political consequences, because, you know, elves are like humans. You worship demons. I don't even know that guy. Those guys have been dead a while. I'm just here to try to get across this river. And the wood elves are like, no, fuck you, you're demon-worshipping humans, we're going to end you. And it's all a crazy misunderstanding, and you have to jump through hoops to do it. Yeah, no, humans. They're basic, but we got a good... I think I got some good handles out of this demon incest empire idea. It's a good place for some D&D to happen. Till next time, see you in a week. Leave comments if there's something worth commenting on to you. I will answer them. I got time. But until then, see ya.